January 22nd, 2019 in Craven County, North Carolina. At about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, a boy named Casey Hathaway was playing in his grandmother's backyard with two other children. He was discovered as missing when the two other children came inside and he was nowhere to be found. According to the authorities, his family searched the rural wooded area for 45 minutes before calling 911 and getting the officials involved to search. Here is the official 911 call that was made, edited only slightly to avoid issues with copyright strikes. All credit goes to the Craven County Sheriff's Office who released it, and the Daily Mail News for posting it.
Okay, and what's going on there?
We lost my 2-year-old grandson has walked in the woods back there and we can't find him. 3-year-old grandson.
Okay, so who's there with them?
His whole sister.
And you said he's 3-year-old?
Yeah, he's 3.
Okay.
The girls come to the house and left him there, and he's walked off somewhere, and we can't find him.
Okay, but you're not there at the house now?
I'm at the house, yeah.
Okay, and how long ago do you know he walked in there?
It's been at least 45 minutes, because we've been looking all in the woods for him.
And it's behind your house?
Huh?
Is it directly behind your house?
Yeah. Well, on the side, yeah.
Is he a white, black?
He's white.
Do you know what he was wearing?
Probably a black little coat.
A black coat?
Yeah.
Okay. Does he usually do this?
Huh?
Does he usually do this?
No.
Was he wearing pants?
Yeah, he had pants.
Was it jeans?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And you said about 45 minutes to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Is it a big area of woods behind your house?
Yeah, it's pretty big.
I think you've been out there looking for him?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we got a deputy headed to you, okay? And you said 45 minutes directly behind your house or side?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, if you see him, let us know. We have some deputies headed that way, okay?
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
Thank you.
At the time, Casey was 3 years old, stood 2 foot 4 inches tall, and weighed 25 pounds. He was last seen wearing a blue coat and dark-colored pants. Some believe that Casey wandered into the woods, and some reports indicated that Hathaway may have been playing in the woods with the two other children. Then the two children left to go inside, and he stayed behind. Either way, he disappeared at 200 Toller Road on the border of Craven and Pamlico counties. The area is heavily wooded, and there are pools of water in the region. Craven County Sheriff Chip Hughes said some of the sinkholes come up to the height of his mid-thigh. Divers were also assessing the ponds near the homes. According to Heavy.com and ABC 12, so many people showed up to help search for Hathaway on Wednesday morning that authorities had to turn some of them away. On Tuesday night, at least 100 people showed up to help with the search. Craven County Sheriff Chip Hughes said, "We are doing everything we can to find this child, utilizing all resources at our disposal, and once again, we want these folks in the Caton community and Ernle community to certainly keep an ear out." The Fayetteville Observer notes, the Highway Patrol provided a helicopter with forward-looking infrared to find heat sources, and dogs have also been brought in to help with the search as well as drones. Law enforcement investigated every lead and tip, but nothing revealed Hathaway's location. Upon learning the boy was missing, the U.S. Marines' professional search teams went looking for him. Deputies asked anyone in the area to search storage sheds, vehicles, and their property. Lisa Fraker, who had joined the search party, was back at home on Thursday evening when she decided to take her dogs out for a walk. Walking her dogs along Aurora Road Thursday night, Linda Fraker thought she heard a child crying in the woods. She did. And that child turned out to be 3-year-old Casey Hathaway, who had been missing since Tuesday afternoon. Fraker says it's a miracle. I mean, there's really no other way to see it. Fraker is one of the hundreds of volunteers who came out to search for Casey. She also lives just down the street from where he was found and had just begun walking her dogs when she heard a noise. She says, "I thought I heard crying, but I didn't want to confuse it with all the searching that was going on the other side of the woods. So I brought the dogs inside and I went back out. And I listened again, and again I heard just a crying. So I ran up to Toller Road and got the officer and asked him to please come down and just listen. Next thing I know, he was coming back and telling me that yes, he heard something too. And the next thing I know, everybody was running up there and I heard he was found." Here is a news clip that was collected by WITN News, and I want to give full credit to them for this. I edited it slightly, as you can see here in just a moment, to avoid copyright strikes again. But this is the clip where they interviewed her and talked about what happened.
It's a miracle. I mean, there's just really no other way to say it.
Linda Fraker is one of hundreds of volunteers who came out to search for Casey Hathaway. She also lives just down the street from where he was found and had just began to walk her dogs when she heard a noise.
I thought I heard her crying, but I didn't want to confuse it with all the search that was going on the other side of the woods. So I brought the dogs inside and I come out and I listened again. And again, I heard just a crying. So I ran up to Tola Road and I got the officer and I asked him to just please come down and just listen. The next thing I know, he was coming back and he was telling me that, yes, he heard something too. And then the next thing I know, everybody was running up there and I heard he was found.
Fraker's son, Noah, is a friend of Casey's family and was at the hospital Thursday night when Casey told him he wasn't in the woods alone.
Casey said he was best friend, Bear was his best friend for 2 days. So I just want to give him a big old hug. That's all I want to do. I just want to give him a big old hug.
EMS Captain Shane Greer found Hathaway tangled up in a thorn bush. Greer told WITN that Hathaway seemed to be all right. You could tell he was very cold, so we immediately started warming him up once we got him to the vehicle, Greer said. The more we warmed him up, it seemed the better he got. EMS transported Hathaway to a local hospital. Casey was cut up and bruised, but seemed otherwise to be unharmed, according to WITN. That's when he told his family about the bear. Like something out of a fairy tale, the creature looked after the boy until he was found. He said he hung out with a bear for 2 days, his aunt Brianna Hathaway wrote in a now private Facebook post. God sent him a friend to keep him safe. God is a good God. Miracles do happen. Hathaway also wrote on Facebook that one of her nephew's favorite things is the Russian cartoon Masha and the Bear. There may or may not be a connection. Though this story might sound far-fetched, there are other accounts in which creatures described as bears took care of kids stranded in the wilderness. In 1888, the New York Times reported on a 2-year-old girl who was found in a valley and claimed a bear had kept her warm. In 1955, another 2-year-old named Ida Mae Curtis spent 2 days in the Kootenai National Forest in Montana and was comforted by a bear while there. I will be covering those cases in their own videos. Craven County Sheriff Chip Hughes said in an interview with WCTI News Channel 12 in New Bern that the boy did say how he was able to survive and all that, and that Casey did say he had a friend in the woods that was a bear that was with him. No Amber Alert was issued, according to Hughes, because there was never any suspicion that the child had been the victim of a kidnapping, or that a third party may have been involved with his disappearance. Of course, questions remain as to how precisely the boy was able to last 3 days in the wilderness, particularly in damp conditions and temperatures that dipped into the 20s at night. He made a comment about having a friend while he was in the woods. His friend was a bear. Mayor David McFadden with the Craven County Sheriff's Office told CNN Monday. In the emergency room, he started talking about what happened in the woods and that he had a friend that was a bear with him while he was in the woods. McFadden said there are bears in the woods of Craven County, but there's no evidence to prove one was with Casey. All that matters, McFadden said, is that something was there to comfort him during the 3 days. We are very pleased he had that type of comfort. There were very brutal conditions out there. The first night it dropped down to 20 degrees. The second night we had 2 inches of rain, he said. The 3-year-old boy will undergo a forensic psychological exam this week, McFadden said, but for now authorities are giving Casey time to recover and settle in with his family. He has not been interviewed yet about what happened. He's a 3-year-old little boy, McFadden said. Until we do the forensic exam, we won't have a definite idea yet. Now for my thoughts. I actually have a few questions to start us out. The first is, why did the children go inside? Did it start to rain, or did they hear something, or did they just decide they were hungry and wanted to go inside? I want to know why they went inside. The second is, if kidnapped, why Casey? There were 2 other children there as well, so if he was kidnapped, which there's no obvious evidence to suggest that he was, but you never really truly know unless we had a camera there to watch, why would it be him? that was kidnapped, if he was. If he underwent some sort of trance that caused him to walk off, again, why Casey? If he wandered off, why did he wander off? Why did they go into the woods to play if they did? If they did go into the woods to play, again, why did they leave Casey? What caused them to go into the house but for him to stay? Again, were they scared off? Now, why was he in a tangle of thorns and vines? How did he get there? Was he carried? Did he walk on his own? These are, at least so far, completely unanswered. I have strong, and I do mean strong, doubts that a bear was ever there. For example, bears poop. A lot. And they said they saw no sign that a bear was there. There would be obvious evidence of a bear there if there was one there with him. So that doesn't really make sense to me. And besides, he couldn't have walked that far, both day and night, in the cold, with wind, rain, etc., without being more damaged. Now, I'm not discounting that he got hurt, but it apparently wasn't all that bad. And it sounds like most of it came from the thorn bush that he was all tied up in, as indicated by the EMS captain Shane Greer, who found Casey in the thorn bush itself. So most of the cuts and bruises were probably caused by that thorn bush. After all, those things are very, very nasty, at least if they're anything like the ones that I'm used to. Now, obviously, I'm not discounting that he got hurt. He did go to the hospital, right? But I would think that frostbite, hypothermia would have hit him hard. And it's not to mention bacterial infections with how wet everything was. He said they got 2 inches of rain, I believe the second day in. Combined with the cold temperatures, him being out there all alone, his clothes getting wet, all the friction that would be caused from all the walking, or if he was carried again, his clothes would rub up against him, he would have more issues, I would think, with infections and rashes and things of that sort. So things like gangrene would become an issue, you'd think. And one more point, he had no food. Where did he get the food from? It's January, so berries are very unlikely to come across. It's unlikely he would have eaten much else. Insect life certainly isn't that common during that time of year. And he didn't have a haversack filled with food, so where did he get food from? By the way he reacted, it didn't sound like he was starving. Rather, in a press conference, the sheriff said that Casey was quiet after he was discovered. He was cold, as I said earlier, and after warming up, he expressed that he wanted to watch Netflix. It seems that his mood improved once he was reunited with his sister. Nothing was mentioned about being hungry or thirsty, yet he was out in the woods for 3 days. Could he have been hungry, but they simply omitted those details? Maybe. But that is hugely important to me, yet hardly anyone mentions it. And as someone who has researched bear attacks and been involved with that whole topic and field for about 3 years now, as a part of Jeff's Outdoor Adventures, I can confidently say that it's highly unlikely a bear kept him company. Not just because there was hardly any fecal matter in the vicinity where he was found, like I said earlier, there should have been, but also because of the time of year. See, January is still cold enough where most bears are likely still hibernating. Why would the bear be awake? And if he awoke the bear, it's likely it would have tried to kill him. After all, a couple months without food can make you hangry. I've known about bear attacks that happened because of a hunter stumbling across a bear den and waking it up accidentally, and there were, let's just say, consequences. Now, I don't know the habits of black bear in North Carolina. Maybe they don't hibernate as long as some bears do, like here in Idaho. But I just don't find this situation likely. January is still early enough where I would think they'd still be hibernating. You can fill me in the comment section if you live there, what they're like and what it was like during that time of year and how active black bears were. But honestly, I just don't see it. Could God have sent the bear as suggested by his family? Maybe. But I have to put that aside because I can neither discount that nor can I confirm it. So I just want to put that aside and focus on what I know I can talk about confidently, or at least semi-confidently, because it's still fairly confusing no matter which way you try and look at it. There are only a couple options that seem the most likely in the opinion of most people, and to be honest, myself as well. But before I get into that, I want to make a disclaimer. I am not an expert on biology nor Bigfoot. And in all honesty, no one is truly an expert when it comes to Sasquatch or Sasquatch research. Unless we get someone living with a group of Bigfoot and documenting every behavior and idiosyncrasy of the individuals in the group as a whole, much like Jane Goodall did with chimpanzees, no one really knows much about wood apes. If we had our own sightings, we're basing everything we know or believe off of what we saw. And if we haven't had our own sightings, we're basing everything we believe off of what someone else has seen, trusting that not only are they telling the truth, but they are telling it the way it happened. There's too many sightings that would sound similar at first when you hear a very brief description, but when people actually go over the details, they do not match at all. Some say Bigfoot is highly aggressive. Some say they are very, very peaceful. So you have to take into consideration that you aren't the only person that may have seen these things, and that not everybody agrees with you. So doubtless, about how you feel towards the topic, these are only theories, and they don't completely revolve around Bigfoot. For example, the first is that a man in a suit kidnapped or lured him out and kept the costume on the entire time to conceal his identity. He fed him, and because of the stress, Casey couldn't remember how much or how long he was there with him, and also thought he was a bear. Another option would be that Bigfoot lured Casey out or kidnapped Casey. They can look like a bear when up close, and it might have fed him and kept him warm. And again, if it was traumatizing enough, he would likely be in shock and forget key details such as the length of time it was with him, and more. Being only 3 years old doesn't really help much either. Another option that I've heard, and it's not as common, but it is there, is that people believe that maybe Casey did wander off, and a Bigfoot came across him, saw that he was lost, and tried to get him back to his family, because it wasn't that far away from where he lives, where he was found. But because it heard the dogs and the human walking towards them, it put Casey down and ran away, hence why there was no sign of the creature being there, either bear or not. And behavior like this has been documented before, at least to a degree, as I talked about in my case file review of Bobby Pankin, who happened to go disappearing near Idaho. It was actually in Washington State, about 20 miles south of the Canadian border. Unfortunately, in his case, he was never found, which is really, really sad. And we went into that in that case, but thankfully this case turned out to be a lot more optimistic, let's put it that way. And adding on to the last two theories, some theorize that young female Sasquatch are fascinated with children the same way little girls carry toy dolls or faux babies around. And that's why they hold on to a child for a few days, playing house almost. But when nearly discovered, they drop the child and run. Now, another thing I want to talk about while we're on the topic of Bigfoot is the Bigfoot Mapping Project. They document as many sightings as they can that are documented in the United States, and they put them on a map. So you can visually see where the majority of sightings have happened in a state. You can see the majority of sightings in the United States, see hotspots and areas that you might want to look into on foot. It's just a wonderful resource, and it puts it in perspective, just seeing how many sightings have been documented. Interestingly enough, though, when you look at North Carolina, they show that the majority of sightings have happened more towards the Tennessee border and Virginia border, rather than where he went missing. He went missing more towards the eastern portion of the state, which is near the ocean. And interestingly enough, the closest sighting to where he went missing is about maybe 40 miles away from where he was. So it is interesting to see. However, you do need to also keep in mind that most sightings do go undocumented. Most people are afraid they'll be laughed out of the room. You never know. However, documented sighting-wise, closest one is about 40 miles away, which is an interesting point to keep in mind. But these still don't answer a few key questions. Why did Casey leave? If he was lured out, how? If he was kidnapped, why him? Questions like this are perplexing and can only really be answered by him. He may not remember, and I wouldn't blame him if he doesn't want to talk about it when he gets older. But when he gets older, if at any point he decides he wants to, I would love to have him on and get his full side of the story. It would certainly be interesting. But that's all I got, folks. There's really not a lot to look at here. I'm just glad it ended nicely. But anyway, I want to give a shout out to David Politis for all the work he's done compiling and researching what has happened to thousands of people, giving those who are lost a voice, and also turning me onto the story indirectly. It was in one of his Missing 411 books that I came across this story, which is what made me want to look into it more and make a video about it. So thank you there. And I want to give a big thanks to all the articles, websites, and resources that I used in researching and writing up this video that allowed me to make this video and be as accurate as possible. So big thank you. And thank you all for watching or listening to the end. Please feel free to let me know what you think, but remember to keep the comment section friendly and try not to get too bogged down by theories. If you have any experiences you'd like me to share on the channel, I can keep you anonymous at your request, so please feel free to email me at idahobigfootchannel@gmail.com. And remember to like this video, subscribe for more content, click the bell icons so you'll be notified every time I come out with a new video. And please share this video wherever you'd like by clicking the share button down below and copying the link. It really helps. You can share it directly to people either by text message or by messaging people on things like Facebook Messenger, or you can share it on pages like Facebook or groups, things like that. Whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you think would work would really help. Even just sharing it in one spot would really, really help me out. Mentioning my channel wherever you'd like, stuff like that. It does add up, and I do appreciate everyone's support, no matter what you do. So thank you all very much, and I'll see you next time.